Welcome to Ultramodern. This is a lifestyle and creative podcast created by Crosswalk Future Of that examines the ways that God is moving and working in today's world. To learn more about Future Of, follow us on Instagram at futureof.cw.
Hello and good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is when you're listening to. Welcome to the Ultramodern podcast. We're so happy that you're tuning in. Just a little disclaimer before we start this episode. You may hear some sound happening around us. That's because Crosswalk has decided today is the day that everything is going to get done. So there's people on the roof and in the warehouse. So if you hear something...
But it's cool.
It's super cool, yeah. So if you hear something, don't worry. It's just, church life happening. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So my name is Andy. Welcome to the podcast. I'm here with our Foothills lead, Joshua Estrada.
Hey, what's up, everybody? For all of you on video, I'm throwing up a peace sign. If you're just listening, I'm throwing up a thumbs up. You wouldn't be able to confirm that because you can't even see it.
Deception, I see. You want to be part of some deceptive work.
Yes. You want to do a shout out to everyone?
Yes, do a quick shout out. We have 3 people in the room besides us. First off, right here on the right, we have Devin Swank. Come over and say what's up, bro.
Come
Give
on
us
through.
like a piece, like what up?
You guys want to come in? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, let's just have everybody come at the same time. Come say hi. So this is Devin right here. He's been on the podcast. You know Devin.
He was so cool.
This is Nico. Nico is lit, and this is Shawnee.
Yay!
What up? We have an awesome crew of people here today. And shout out House of Doc.
Shout out
Hey,
Eldon, dude.
Eldon, please be on the podcast. I've been asking him. Okay. Anyways. Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We're so happy that you're listening. I know. Dude, so today's topic is totally going to be run by Josh.
Yes. So I want to read to you the text that I sent. And then let's just talk about it for a little bit. We also have a limited window, right? To record this, so we'll just keep it short today. So Andy texts me, "Hey, want to be on Ultramodern tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Down, bro. What's the topic?" And I said to him, "I'm here in the studio." And then Andy says, "You got any ideas?" And then I'm like, "How about like recapturing passion for the things we're about in this season and learning to let go of the past version of quotes doing things and embracing the new," right? And to be honest, I don't have a full like where this is gonna end, but I do have a scenario to start off with.
Let's start with it. Go for
right?
it.
And I think it begins in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
Before I was
Dude, it
born.
feels like a long time ago. Actually, I had seen one of these like things that happened in 2020. And it's crazy, like how many things happened in 20. That makes you feel like, how many years ago was that? But anyways, we'll reference that later. Okay, so 2019, there is this trend that starts to happen where people wear all black, white sneakers, and a denim top. And I'm actually wearing that today for the first time in like 3 years. I went on like a protest of this outfit because I felt like what kept happening is you'd walk in the room and everybody else is wearing all black and a denim top, a jacket, and I just felt like, dude, I'm tired of walking into the room and everybody looking the same. And so then I think it's your generation. Are you guys Gen Z?
I don't know what I am. I think I'm Gen Z.
Yeah, right. I think it was Gen Z that was like, we're gonna stop doing this, and then you guys went heavy on thrifting, right? And then thrifting led to like oversized look, and then there was also like the like dad vibe, grandpa vibe, right? On outfits, and then it was just this total like shift on culture and clothes, right? But it started from like at some point people were frustrated with the current thing, and they were like, we're just gonna do a new version of this, right? And then they went for it.
I like that.
And I feel like there's a metaphor there that some of us are still sorting through in 2021, right? Of like, what is the 2021 version of the all black outfit and a denim jacket that we just gotta forsake, right? Of like, hey, we're probably not coming back to this for like a long time. And so how do we let go of that and how do we start moving into the new, right? And just kind of like I don't know, like a new way of being, a new way of doing the things that we do.
Right. So you're saying this in context of like we're in the midst of a pandemic right now, still, as much as like people are getting vaccinated and whatnot.
Sure. You just got got the first dose, right?
I got the first dose yesterday.
How you feeling, man?
Just like a twitch. I don't know. I can't feel my lower half of my body.
Okay,
that should be fine. I'm just kidding. No, I feel fine, totally fine. They said it's the second shot that
is the one that hurts the most.
Yeah,
right?
or that you begin to experience symptoms. I got the Pfizer vaccine, so the Pfizer one, the first dose you don't feel any symptoms, but the second one you do. Yeah, but I mean, I feel like even vaccinated life, like you're still under certain restrictions. So like we're just beginning to combat the virus, and very much. Like I was asking last night, I went with Tommy and Skylar to go get a shot, and I was talking to Skylar, and I was like, so what does this really do? And she says it protects you, but it doesn't really open anything else up in like our area yet. Like it's not like, oh, we got vaccinated, all life could go back to normal. Like I'm sure I don't know what it is, but there's still a huge process of life that we have to go through before we get to maybe what you're talking about, like the analogy used of like
like a new iteration, right?
Yeah, like
literally. Sorry, one thing I talked about is I was gonna try not to interrupt you as much. I get in this zone, and then I'm like, oh, like this idea to get out. So I apologize.
You're good.
Back to you.
No, you're tight. You're good. What I was saying is that the analogy you gave is really good. Where that outfit that you went away from, and maybe now is the time where you can go back to it because fashion has evolved enough to where that's normal again. I feel like we are still not in the phase to return back to like an all in-person meeting. And that's in various aspects of just like, well, no more masks and you could just go inside restaurants, have parties, like concerts. Like the other day I was looking at this video of a Travis Scott concert.
There's like so many people, right?
Yeah, shocked, bro. There's a sea of people all jumping. And it's just a shocker to think like, wow, we really used to just do that. And nobody ever would think like, oh, I hope I don't get sick this weekend when I go. Like,
that's true. Yeah.
We're just in this new world. So we're not going back to that.
Yeah, right. Like that's the thing to address, that a year from now, we're not going to see that. Mm-hmm. Right? 2 years from now, I still think we're not going to see that. And so if we have an expectation of like, oh man, I just can't wait till we're all in that stadium ready for the concert, right? Or, oh, I just can't wait till like restaurants open up again and we can call in our whole crew and hang out. That version is not gonna be available. All right. And so how do you kind of like get in the headspace to step into a new version of that, right? And just kind of like re-navigate. Okay, how am I going to do community? How am I going to like make peace with this is the way that I'm going to do school for the next couple of years?
Right. Yeah. Dude, one time you told me that you were writing a song called Phases.
Yes. And I actually dedicated it to you, dude.
Did you really?
Yeah, I really did.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. Shout out.
Man.
The past. I like that. That's great. I remember the gist of the song that you're writing was, that there's life phases, right? And God walks through each one of these phases with us.
Yeah.
And I think my natural tendency is to not like phases, or maybe even to use biblical language, to like seasons. Mm-hmm. Like when I think about the things that I want them like boom now.
Right.
And I don't like the process of having to get to them. And I think that I remember in March is when we shut down last year, and then April or May is when I was talking to some of the high schoolers. We would do like Zoom and stuff, and I remember telling some of them like, I cannot wait till we're back in person. Like when we're back in person, I think I'm just gonna cry because it's gonna be such an awesome moment.
Yeah.
But in my head, I had this idea that it was just gonna be one weekend of like, oh, everything's okay. Like let's just start, right?
Right.
And now a year later, I'm realizing, oh, what was I thinking? Like, it wasn't just going to be one day where everything is just like, oh, we could just do this again. Like, we've gone through many iterations of life change. Like, we had to go through the, like, everybody was at home that phase of the pandemic. And in reality, I heard a couple of things. Of one, that next month or two, when everything kind of opened up a little bit, we had undone all of the work that we had done in that first portion of quarantine. So there was that portion of quarantine, and then things kind of opened up. Everybody said that along with the summer, that there was going to be like the virus was going to go away with the heat and whatnot. Didn't happen, right? And everybody, went through that phase. And even the holidays phase, like we all went through the phase of like being with family. Well, not all of us, but then we saw a spike in like.
You're talking about Thanksgiving, Christmas this past year, even New Year's, right?
Mm-hmm. Just like these areas of our life that, or these times that we thought it would be done by now, or we thought that was just going to be one moment where everything would open up. But the reality is like it's been a huge process of trying to figure out life in the midst of this pandemic, And
I think what I was feeling, even if we didn't get to like a good outcome or conclusion on the conversation, I felt like what I wanted to address is to kind of give language to our college group, right? And to almost to like brand the season that we're in, right? And just kind of fully embrace it. Like, hey, it's time to recognize that things are not going to go back to normal in the next, I'm gonna say in the next year, right? And so I think it's time for us to really get in that headspace and start designing our future, start designing our community with that in mind, right? Of like, hey, like, so since we're not going to go back to just all gathering together in the next month, right? In the next 2 months, in the next 3 or 6 months, that to just recognize, so if that's not going to happen, then how are we going to go about planning for our community, right? Yeah. And planning for like, hey, you're part of a college group and your circle of friends is all in a college group. How do we go back to doing community? And if there's a version of that includes Zoom, like we just have to embrace it. Right? Yeah. If there's a version of that that's like, instead of hanging out in groups of like 20 or 30 people, we're going to start doing hangouts with 5 or 6 and just kind of like do the socially distant part, but to embrace that in our lives, right? And then for those of us who are planning our futures, like, I just want to acknowledge really quick, they're starting to drill up on the. Oh yes, the building has vibes, bro. So just to like, okay, like let's embrace that we have to design a different future than maybe the one we were planning for, but it can still be good, right? So for those of us who had plans about how we were going to do school, how we were going to do our careers, it's not like a give up on the complete outcome of your future, but rather just repurpose the resources that you have and the thing that you can do, and figure out like a new way to do the thing that you like. Right.
No, that's great. One of the things that comes to mind when you say repurpose, or just this whole conversation that you've begun, is how Jesus very much walked in like this new direction, and everybody always was like catching up to like his direction. So one of the reasons why the Pharisees had such an issue with what Jesus was doing is because they had this mentality that Jesus was disrupting what is normal or what is expected, and their hope was, and eventually they chose to kill him, their hope was that he would be out of the picture so that life can return back to normal. So we see this movement in the Gospels of this fight against the new thing that Jesus is doing, this new culture, this new way of life. And now we're living in a time where we're faced with, well, we can't worship the same, we can't plan our days the same, like quite literally, like everything that we do has now,
it kind of revolves around this nuance, right? Of like, if you're using a reusable mask, make sure that you have a new one for the day, right? If you're doing a washable one, make sure you wash it every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like there's this new added part to our
Mm-hmm.
what used to be our normal
Right.
routine.
Yeah, and I mean it's so new, but also it's been ingrained into us the past couple of months. Where like I'll walk out of my car and I'll forget my mask,
Yeah.
and I'll for a moment I'll be like, why do I feel like I'm naked? Like
Like something's off, right? I'm like, what do I have to like? What do I have to like?
And then I realized, oh, it's my mask. It's just like there's a whole new way of doing life.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I existed in this space of like, oh, we're just gonna tough it out, and then finally we'll get back to that normal.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm kind of, or maybe the things that we're suggesting is that we have to kind of shift what we think is normal. The Pharisees had to come face to face. The disciples, everybody who came in contact with Jesus had to realize that he was introducing a whole new existence,
Yeah.
a new way of doing life, one that didn't include a lot of the tradition or even the philosophy of life before him, and he was creating this brand new path, you know. And I think now, as believers in Jesus, especially, this new season can either be a good season or a bad season, dependent on your willingness to step into the new, or to try something new.
Yeah.
And I mean, first thing that I'll relate it to is my experience with this whole pandemic is like the worship part has been difficult for me, because very much I liked in-person worship when I'm in a group of people.
Kenny just tearing up the drums.
Kenny just crushing it on the drums, you know, like that was very comfortable for me. And now we're in this new phase of like, oh, that's not possible, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing, well, do we say, oh, well, I guess our faith is going to crumble, or do we take the harder route and say, okay, well, I'm going to do something about it? And that could be done with school too. Like, first of all, I did 1 quarter of school online. That was my last quarter of college. Now I'm graduated, and I was absolutely Zoom fatigued at the end of it after 1 quarter. And I can't believe, or I can't imagine what our students right now are feeling. Just like this consistent having to do school online.
For sure.
And then even I was talking to one of our members this morning at our drive-in devotional, and she said that she has been a nurse for a couple months, but she's already what was it called? It's whatever role it is where you teach other nurses within the squad.
Wow.
And she said, I've just gained so much experience in these 4 months of being a nurse because of the pandemic, that now I have enough experience to teach like nursing students who are coming in, like what to do, you know?
That's insane.
So like you just have to be okay with the new and just follow through with it.
Yeah. I've been thinking about like one way to put language on it is we're learning to repurpose our resources, right? And learning to repurpose the skills and the dreams that you have available to you. I mean dreams in the sense of like goals, right? Like I have these goals, but to just repurpose how it is that I'm going to use them, or how it is that I'm going to go about accomplishing them, and not necessarily giving up, right? Not giving up on it. I also think humanity is so much more resilient than at times we give ourselves credit for, right? Like you mentioned it all the time that we're doing better than we think. And one version of it is that that the quarantine and the pandemic makes us weaker, or not as efficient, or not as good as we can be, right? But the story of humanity is like we're just so good at adapting and at making the current circumstance the like playing ground for how we have to do stuff, right? So that, or I'll make a quick comparison to in history, the persecuted church. They figured out a way to be a community in like caves, right?
Wow, yeah.
And so we just have to step into that space of like, this is it. This is the new reality for the next phase, and we got to dive deep into that.
That's great, dude.
I was reflecting a little bit on some of the things I've seen happen with fashion, and there's been a lot of movements towards repurposing stuff. And I think a part of it is like people just don't have the money to constantly buying new things. And I've seen a lot of like where they'll take, for example, an old Nike sweater, and they'll combine it with another crew neck that they have, and so they kind of like cut out,
Right.
kind of like they just make a new form of
Yeah, I've seen that.
of something that they already have. Right? I want to kind of reiterate that. So they take kind of like these two things that weren't necessarily connected, and they integrate them into this one new thing.
That's great.
Right? And I feel like we've got this this virtual world that we didn't want to, that we found out was not as fulfilling as we thought it would be. And then we have the reality of quarantine and the desire to do community, and we've just got to figure out a version of like, we're going to be okay with doing this integrated thing to move forward, right? And to yes, we can grieve what we're losing. Like we can grieve that, hey, we're not going to go to the 1975 concert that we were going to go to.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It was going to be just like in the stadium. But I imagine Matt Healy and the whole team, they're trying to figure out how are they going to do concerts in this new iteration. And they're, though I know their thing is like, yeah, we just would really love a huge stadium full of people. They're going to start thinking through reimagining how to do it. Right?
Yeah.
And I feel like the church and our community, it's like, let's start taking all of our creative energy and our excitement and our encouragement in that direction, right? Like, hey, this is just the next phase that we're in, and so we're gonna grieve and also start figuring out how to be resilient in this direction, right? And how to just do the new thing.
That's great, bro.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm at a loss for words, but I'm vibing with what you're saying.
for sure.
Because like now I'm thinking about my life, like what are the things that I can bring together and just say like, this is the new thing that we're gonna do right now. So like, let's just move forward and let's do it.
And what's your, to reference the 2019, what's your 2019 outfit that we've just got to forsake for a season, right?
I think that looks like concerts for me. You were speaking of that 1975 concert, bro. I forgot about that, but that was gonna be so fun.
Sorry, can I bring one more thing up?
Yeah, bro.
I wanted to address things from the perspective of a worship leader. So I actually recognize that that all of us know that the worship service on the weekend wasn't what kept our faith alive, right? And I've heard at times people speak about a weekend service on a Saturday or on a Sunday for churches as if we, the participants of church, were totally dependent on the weekend to like create our faith and to survive and to be like a good Christian or believer, right? And it's actually inaccurate, right? Most of us know that that's not how to keep our faith alive, right? Is the worship service or the pastor doing the sermon or being in the room. But I think we had not yet recognized how big of a role a weekend service played in providing encouragement and making us feel like refreshed and renewed. And so all of a sudden that weekly rhythm gets taken out and we're like, something is missing. But it's not just the type of service that we're in, but the encouragement that it gave us, right? To go in and just do the next thing. Because like most of us, we don't remember the worship set that was done or exactly everything that was said in the sermon, but you just walk out of it with this like feeling of being refreshed, right? And encouraged.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to kind of leave as an open-ended, maybe thing to discuss later, is how do we create those moments for us during this next season, right? Where we're just like, that's one of those like encouraging, refreshing moments.
Right.
That we probably won't get in a weekly rhythm in the way that we used to, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it means a smaller scale version. Maybe it means like, I don't know, just like a reimagining of how that happens.
That's
right?
great. I actually have a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it actually centers around Sabbath. So that we should do a whole nother podcast.
Let's do it,
on
dude.
Sabbath.
Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in and beginning that conversation with us. We love you so much, and we pray that these next couple weeks, as hard as they are, or this next season that we're in still, that you would be able to bring in two different things and create something new. So, hey, talk to you guys later. Bye.
Laters.